Level 1. The Dreamer. You're 9 years old. There's a war documentary on television. Soldiers moving through desert terrain, low to the ground, rifles up, communicating in signals you don't understand. No music, just the sound of boots and wind and radio static. Your grandfather is in the armchair beside you. He served 2 tours in Vietnam. He never talks about it. But right now, he's not watching the screen. He's somewhere else entirely. You ask him, "Grandpa, were you scared?" He's quiet for a long time. Then he says, "Every single day, but I showed up anyway." That's what soldiers do. You don't fully understand what that means, but something about it stays with you. The next morning, you're in the backyard. You set up an obstacle course out of chairs and garden hoses. You low crawl under the hose. You sprint between the chairs. You do it again and again. Your mum watches from the kitchen window and shakes her head. You don't know what you're training for yet. You just know you're training. You're 9 years old, and you've already decided something. You just don't have the words for it. Level 2. The Recruit. You're 18. You walk into the military entrance processing station at 5:30 in the morning. 40 people in plastic chairs, fluorescent lights. Nobody talking. Some of them look like they've been awake all night. You probably look the same. You sign the paperwork. You raise your right hand. You say the words, "I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic." The words feel different out loud than they did in your head. Heavier, more real. Like something just locked into place that can't be unlocked. 3 weeks later, you're on a bus to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. July. The moment the doors open, the heat is physical, like walking into a wall. A drill sergeant is standing on the pavement outside. He's not moving. He's not yelling. He doesn't need to. His entire presence is a single message. Everything you think you know about yourself is about to be tested. Day 1, they take everything. Your phone, your clothes, your name. You are now a last name and a number and a bunk assignment. Nothing more. They wake you at 4:30. You run in the dark. You do push-ups until your arms fail, then somehow find more. You learn to eat a full meal in 4 minutes. You learn to make a bed so tight, a coin bounces off the sheet. You learn to follow an order in the half-second between hearing it and understanding it. By week 3, something in you is cracking. Not your body is adapting. Something else. The version of you that thought it knew what hard was. That version is being quietly demolished and replaced. You don't quit. 10 weeks later, you graduate. Private, E1, the lowest rank in the United States Army. Your grandfather flies in for the ceremony. When you find him in the crowd, he looks at you for a long moment. Then he shakes your hand, firm, both hands, and says, "Now it begins." You didn't know what he meant then. You will. Level 3, the Private. You're 19, first unit. Fort Bragg, North Carolina, 82nd Airborne. You show up with your orders and your duffel bag, and approximately zero idea what you're doing. The barracks are loud. Older soldiers move through the hallways without looking at you. You are furniture. You are background. You are the new guy, which means you are nothing yet. Your squad leader is a staff sergeant with 3 deployments and a look that suggests he has seen every mistake you are about to make, multiple times, and has run out of patience for all of them. He examines your uniform on day 1. Finds something wrong in 4 seconds, corrects it without explanation, walks away. That's the whole introduction. You make mistakes, constantly. You address an NCO as Sir. You're 30 seconds late to formation. You fail to secure your gear properly before a movement exercise and spend the next 2 hours doing corrective PT while the rest of your unit watches. Every mistake is corrected immediately, publicly, loudly. There is no private feedback in the infantry. Failure is a group event. But here's what you didn't expect. The learning is fast. Faster than school, faster than anything, because the consequences are immediate. There's no grace period, no curve. You adapt or you fall behind, and falling behind has a specific, visible, humiliating cost. 6 months in, you make private second class, 1 stripe, the smallest promotion in the military, but nobody handed it to you. You understand now what your grandfather meant about showing up. Showing up is not the flaw. Showing up is the whole job. Everything else is built on top of it. Level 4, the sergeant. You're 24. Sergeant, E5. 5 years in, 1 deployment behind you. Everything changes with this promotion. Not the pay, though that improves. Not the respect, though that comes. What changes is this: you are now responsible for other people. 4 soldiers in your team. A 20-year-old from rural Georgia who is technically gifted but emotionally fragile. A 22-year-old from Chicago who is tough as concrete and has a problem with authority that you need to redirect rather than crush. A kid who just turned 19 who reminds you so much of yourself at that age, it's almost uncomfortable. And a quiet, steady specialist from Oregon who will probably be better than you someday and already knows it. Your job is no longer to execute, it's to lead. And leading, you discover, is not a skill. It's a practice. You learn it by getting it wrong, watching what breaks and what holds, adjusting, trying again. When the kid from Georgia fails his PT test, you don't report it immediately. You wake up at 0500 the next morning and you run with him before official PT. Just you and him. No audience. No pressure. You do this for 3 weeks. He passes on the retest. He tells you later it was because of you. You tell him it was because of him. Both things are true. Second deployment. Iraq, this time. You're leading your team in the actual thing, not a simulation, not an exercise. Real decisions, real terrain, real stakes. You bring all 4 of them home. You don't talk about how close it wasn't always certain, but you know, and they know. And that is a bond that doesn't have a name in civilian life. Level 5. The Staff Sergeant. You're 29. Staff Sergeant, E6, Squad Leader, 9 soldiers, 3 deployments. You've been in long enough now to see the army clearly, not through the lens of a recruit who needed to believe in it completely, and not through the cynicism of someone who's been disappointed too many times. You see it as it actually is. It is not perfect. It has waste and politics and moments of jaw-dropping bureaucratic failure. You have watched genuinely exceptional soldiers get passed over for promotion because they didn't navigate the system correctly. You have watched mediocre soldiers advance because they were good at being seen by the right people at the right time. And yet, you have also watched this institution take ordinary people, scared kids from small towns, angry kids from broken homes, directionless kids who had nothing waiting for them, and give them structure, identity, capability, purpose. You have watched people become soldiers, and then watched soldiers become something else entirely, something harder and steadier and more reliable than almost anything civilian life produces. You believe in it, not blindly, with full knowledge of its failures, but genuinely. Third deployment. Afghanistan. Your unit takes casualties. You write the first letter to a family. You sit at a desk in a forward operating base with a blank page in front of you, and you try to find words that are worth the weight of what you're writing. There are no perfect words. You write the truest ones you can find, and you sign your name. You come home, and you don't talk about it. You go back to work. You take care of your soldiers. That's what you do. That's what he does. That's what they all do. Level 6. The Sergeant Major. You're 40. Sergeant Major, E9. 22 years in. 5 deployments. More miles and more field exercises and more sleepless nights than you have any accurate count of. You sit on promotion boards now. You brief generals. You advise senior officers on the ground-level reality of operations, being planned on screens and maps by people who haven't been downrange in years. When a plan looks elegant from above and catastrophic from below, you're the one who says so, directly, without softening it, with enough institutional credibility that they actually listen. Your voice carries weight, not because you're loud. You stopped being loud a long time ago, because when you speak, people have learned that you've already thought about it longer and harder than they have. The soldiers you mentored in your early years as an NCO, they're staff sergeants and sergeant first classes now. Some of them have their own soldiers. You watch your influence move forward through the institution like a current beneath the surface. Invisible, but real. You begin to understand what service actually means. It means you put something into the world that keeps going after you. You think about your grandfather sometimes, what he said when you were 9. Every single day. But I showed up anyway. You've shown up for 22 years. Through 5 wars and 2 divorces, and a knee that hasn't been right since Kandahar and more funerals than you want to count. You're still here. Level 7. The Command Sergeant Major. You're 46. Command Sergeant Major, the senior enlisted advisor to a brigade commander. The highest enlisted rank in your command. In practical terms, you are the voice of every soldier in your formation, their advocate, their standard, the person the commanding general calls when he wants to know what the troops are actually thinking. You've been in the army for 28 years. You stand in front of formations, and you see what your grandfather must have seen watching that documentary when you were 9. Young faces, straight backs, eyes forward, believing in something they can't entirely articulate, but feel completely. You remember being that. The bus to Fort Jackson in July, the heat, the drill sergeant who didn't need to raise his voice, the moment you understood that the person you were before was going to have to make room for someone different. You retire at 50, 32 years. The ceremony is at Fort Bragg, the same base where you showed up at 19 with your duffel bag and your orders, and no idea what you were doing. Soldiers who served under you fly in from across the country. Your commanding general gives a speech. Then they hand you the microphone. You look at the formation in front of you. 500 soldiers at attention. You think about your grandfather, what he said, every single day. But I showed up anyway. You say, take care of your soldiers. That's the whole job. Everything else is just details. Then they fold the flag and hand it to you and you walk off the field. Somewhere right now, a 9-year-old is watching a war documentary. Tomorrow, he'll be in his backyard running obstacle courses made of garden hoses. Most kids who feel that pull never follow it. You followed it for 32 years. And the soldiers you brought home, and the ones you trained and the ones they'll train, that's what it was for.